Hey everyone, this is Aaron with DIY Home. Today we're looking at how to cover up a shower flange, tub shower flange. There's a few options for this. When you take your tub out, you're going to be cutting out a lot of drywall anyways. So one option is to shim out your drywall and then run it over the top and run it up against the tub. Not a bad option. The other option, of course, is to just mud it and then run mesh tape over the top. Mud it again with a skim coat and sand it down. Again, works pretty well. You don't want to use paper tape because the paper tape, when it gets wet, it will deteriorate. The other option I'm looking at, and I want to try today, is a product called Timecodes Shower Bead. This product is essentially a corner bracket, a tearaway corner bracket with a 2 1/4 inch flange that actually allows you to cover that up. I've never used this product before. I'm just kind of looking to try it out and see how it works. Heard good things, but again, we're just going to try it out today. So the first thing you're going to do, the thing about this product is you have this flange here that goes up against here. You can really cut that down or whatever you need to do, leave it as is or cut it down to match here. And that way you kind of get that level. Everything makes about the same. So you have the same amount of tub showing all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and get that installed. So to install this, what you're going to need, of course, the trim tracks. I'm going to use a little bit of caulk, just because as I put it, I'm going to put caulk down here so that this kind of sticks a little bit better and it doesn't move on me. So you're going to need the caulk, and then really all you need is just a stapler. And this stapler is just going to be, you're just going to put staples along here into the drywall. Now, depending on how thick your drywall is, that's going to kind of depend on your staple size. I'm using 3/8 inch today. But again, it's not a must. A 1/4 will probably work. You're also going to put drywall mud over the top. So let's go ahead and get this first piece installed. I'll go ahead and, so like I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some caulk in here. And yeah, I need new caulk gun. I'm just going to put a bead of caulk down there, like so, just right in the corner. And if this goes outside of it, it's not a big deal because you're going to put caulk in there later once everything is sealed up. So you're going to put a caulk in there. You put as much as you want in there. Then we're going to take our shower bead. We're just going to kind of smash it down in there, slide it down. Goes all the way to the top there. And then as you see, it's not going to move on me. I can kind of walk away and it's still in there pretty good. So then I'm just going to go through and put some staples in. Ran out of caulk. Okay, so now that we have all our pieces installed around the tub and surround, we're going to go ahead and start mudding. Now, before you start mudding, I would advise going back and just making sure all your staples are all the way in, and that your flange here is secured to the drywall, and you don't have any bubbles out. It's just going to make it tougher when you start to mud, because you're going to have to make that mudding, you're going to fan it out higher. But yeah, make sure all your staples are down. but I would just do that before. All right, so we've got some mud here. Again, just general purpose joint compound, nothing special. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start mudding here. And I'm just going to put it along the side here. There's a lip there that's a nice place to start. And you can just pull it out, and then you just go along the side, all the way down. Okay, my first coat of mud is on, and again, it's the first coat. I'll probably have to come back and at least do a skim coat. I'm hoping not to have to do 2 more coats, but the first coat really just get it covered up, try to level it out and extend it out as much as you can. I use an 8-inch knife. I'll come back with a 12-inch knife just to feather it out a little bit more. But that's the first coat. I'm going to give it about 24 hours and then I'll come back tomorrow and I'll finish her up. Okay, now that my mud is dry and I've waited about 24 hours, but you don't have to, it just depends. I'll just let it dry. Now that it's dry with my first coat, I'm going to try to go over it and knock down my high spots. So I'm going to take my 8-inch knife and I'm really just going to run up and down in here and knock out any high spots. Okay, so we've knocked down all our high spots and we're ready to move on to our final coat, hopefully, which is just going to be our skim coat. I'm going to use a 12-inch knife just so I can feather this out a little bit further and get it all leveled off. But you don't have to. You could use an 8-inch knife. Really, it's really up to you what you want to do. But the 12-inch knife just allows me to, again, feather it out a little bit more. Make it look a little bit better, I think. So like I said, we're going to do our skim coat. And I'm just going to go back to my mud here. And what I like to do for my skim coat is I like to put just a little bit of water in it and mix it around really good. This helps to get the air bubbles out and it just smooths it down a little bit more. So you don't want to get too much water in, just a little bit. But then we're just going to start applying our final coat. So after my final coat dried, I came back in and I sanded everything down, filled any issues I had, and then I went ahead and I tore the flange off. Now the flange tears off pretty easily. You're going to install it like that, and the flange, it really you just pull it there and it'll keep pulling off like that. Pretty easy. And then you can go back and you sand up any spots or anything like that. All in all, it's a pretty good product. I'd probably use it again if I could find it. Like I said, it's challenging to find because you have to find a trim track or a trim track supplier. It is nice to use though. It'll save a coat of mud. It'll save some of that if you're not big on mudding. The one thing I would say is that you need to keep that flange clear of mud. Otherwise, as you go through, after you put your first coat on, this mud will dry and easily fall off once you're putting on your second coat. So be careful there, because otherwise you're going to get dried mud in your wet mud, and that's never a good thing. Like I said, all in all, pretty good product. I would use it again. It saved me a little time, and it's pretty inexpensive. If you like this video and you want to see others like it, please like and subscribe below.